2, 3, go.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to see you here, even though I know that it's the middle of the semester and many of us are feeling the crunch, but with the deadlines we have to meet left and right. And isn't it funny that it seems it's when we are busiest that problems come up, things happen. Our health fails us, or as a family member needs special attention, or something in the ministry goes wrong. We strive to be faithful to the calling that God has given us as pastors, teachers, parents, sons and daughters. But sometimes the demands get too heavy and we give up. I know that we did not enter the ministry with false expectation that it would be easy. But we did cling to promises such as God's grace is sufficient for us, or in Christ I can do all things. And yet when these troubled times happen, we want to take up our cross, but we feel like we are swimming in a vast ocean and we can't see the horizon and we can't see God. We look at the papers that we are going to submit and we wonder, is this really the best I can do? We look back on the sermon that we did last Sunday and we ask ourselves, is this really the best I can preach? And it affects also our attitude. We complain, we gripe, we feel guilty. It seems to deprive us of the joy of following Jesus. When times like this happen, we ask this question: where do we find hope? Where do we find hope when we are discouraged and disappointed in life? Today, I've invited a friend, an old friend, to tell you her story. She was witness to a key period in the life of a man who went through difficult times as well, but who found hope at a time and at a place when God's promises fell far out of reach. Please help me welcome her. Hello, my name is Bina, and I am one of Master Isaac's servants. I've heard that you're quite familiar with him. I myself have known Master Isaac for a long time. I saw how devoted he was to his father Abraham and to his mother Sarah when they were living. You see, Master Isaac was born to them in their old age. The older servants say that it was a miracle, but my mother said that it was more than that. It was a fulfillment of God's promise. You see, God had promised Master Abraham that he would bless him so that he could be a blessing to all the nations. He had promised to give him the land of Canaan, and he had also promised to give him descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. So Master Isaac was the promised heir of those promises. So when Master Abraham died, he left everything he owned to Master Isaac, including us servants. And Master Isaac brought us to live with him in a place called Be'er Lahai-Roi. That was a beautiful place. It was a fertile spot, an oasis in the middle of a vast desert. And I saw with my own eyes how God blessed Master Isaac there. There was even a time when his wife, Mistress Rebecca, could not bear any children. Master Isaac prayed to God, and God gave them twins, Esau and Jacob. And so you see, we were all living quite comfortably in Be'er Lahai-Roi, blessed in the present and assured of the future. But then, famine came. My mother says that God does that sometimes. He pushes us out of our comfort zone so that we would be able to trust Him more. I didn't understand what she meant by it then. To be honest, when I heard about the famine, I was a little excited because I figured that we would be going to Egypt. That was the logical place to go. I've never been to Egypt, but I've heard that there's a great river there called the Nile, and that it makes everything fertile so that everything grows in that place. And besides, I heard that the Egyptians are very good looking. So I wanted to go there, but Master Isaac didn't want to go to Egypt. He said that the Lord his God appeared to him and told him to stay in this land, for this was the land that God had promised him and his descendants. Master Isaac took us instead to live in the city of Gerar, the city of the Philistines. I guess it made sense. For you see, we knew that there existed a treaty between Master Abraham and the old king Abimelech. So we figured that we would be treated well there. Still, we were strangers in a foreign land, and we were quite apprehensive. We weren't sure if we were in the midst of friends or foes. I guess Master Isaac must have been scared too, for when one of the Philistines asked him about his wife, I heard him say that she was his sister. We were all frightened for Mistress Rebecca. What if one of the Philistines wanted to take her as his wife? You know, God protected Mistress Rebecca. When King Abimelech found out that she was Master Isaac's wife, he warned his people that they were not to be touched. And so yet again, I saw how God blessed Isaac in the land of the Philistines. In the same year that we came, he planted and he reaped 100-fold, so that in time he grew very, very rich, and he had more servants and more cattle than you could count. But it seemed that the more prosperous Master Isaac became, the more the Philistines became envious of him. Now let me tell you something about those Philistines. They are very shrewd people. When we first came to Gerar, we found out that they had filled up with earth the wells that Master Abraham had dug in his time, so that we could not draw water from them. And so these Philistines, we knew that they didn't have any good intentions for us. But still we stayed, and still God blessed Master Isaac. Until one day, King Abimelech came down to see Master Isaac, and my intuition proved true. For he said to Master Isaac, move away from us. You have become too powerful for us. We knew then that the Philistines were determined to get rid of us. And if I were to be honest, I was annoyed and I was irritated at what they were doing. What would you have done? I wanted to run away. I wanted to go back to Beer-lahai-roi or go to Egypt. Isn't it better? Isn't it wiser to just avoid trouble and go? It seems that just when we thought everything was going well, just when we thought we were experiencing again the blessings of God, these people and these circumstances were getting in the way. Master Isaac didn't want to go. He only brought us outside the city to the valley of Gerar. I knew what he was doing then. He was trying to be faithful to God's command. The same Master Isaac who had once lied about his wife was now struggling to obey in spite of the dangers that it might bring. And I was right. The Philistines didn't make it easy for us. When we went to the valley, we reopened the wells that Master Abraham had dug in his time. But you see, the water wasn't enough. There were so many of us. What would the animals drink? What would the people drink? How could we water our crops? So we had to dig new wells. But every time that we dug new wells, every time that we had finished digging them, the Philistines, they would come and they would take the well from us. They would claim it as theirs. We were so furious. We knew what they were trying to do. The Philistines knew that unless we had ample water, we could not stay in the land. So that was their way of driving us away. I saw how the schemes of those troublemakers took its toll on Master Isaac. His face had deep lines of weariness, and he rarely even smiled anymore. Did you know that his name means laughter? And now there was nothing to laugh about. He was always worried, and he looked so old and so tired. Master Isaac named those two wells Esek, which means dispute, and Sitna, which means opposition. He named those wells dispute and opposition as a testimony to the unfair treatment we were receiving from the Philistines. A testimony to the fact that they broke their promise, their oath to treat us kindly. And every time I remember those wells, I think of the inconstancy of people. Sometimes it is those we trust the most. Sometimes even our own family and friends. They don't come through for us. We try to ask them for help. We try to look forward to their help, but instead we are turned away by harsh words and broken promises. What do you do in times like these? What do you do when you're at your wit's end? Where is strength? Where is hope? One day, I found out where Master Isaac drew his strength and his hope. Have you ever been out in the sun too long? In the desert, it's very common for us. It's a common occurrence. There's nothing we love more than after a hard day's work, we would go down to the wells, lower our buckets, and pull up some water. And then we would scoop water into our hands and put it to our lips and feel the refreshing and cold liquids slide down our throats and dry up the thirst away. My friend, that is relief. That's what Rehoboth felt to us. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I should tell you what Rehoboth is. That was the third well we dug after we moved from the valley. That was the well that the Philistines did not try to take from us. I don't know why they let us alone at that time, but Master Isaac must have known. For Rehoboth in our language means room, and after we had dug the well, Master Isaac said, "Now the Lord has given us room, and we will flourish in the land." After that, we moved on to the Beersheba. The Beersheba was the place where Master Abraham had stayed when he lived in these lands. And I know that Master Isaac spent a good part of his childhood in this area. The morning after the first night of our stay, as Master Isaac was coming out of his tent, and all of us servants were watching, we knew instinctively that something had happened. You see, there was this change about him. It was as if there was a twinkle in his eye, and there was something about his face that was different. At the time, we couldn't pinpoint it. But as he began to speak, we realized that Master Isaac was smiling again. And he looked younger than he had in days. And he was so excited as he told us what happened in the night. Master Isaac said that in the night, the Lord, the God of his father Abraham, appeared to him and told him these words: "Do not be afraid. I am with you. I will increase your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham." Master Isaac excitedly showed us the altar that he had built after the Lord appeared to him. The altar where he called upon the name of the Lord because he believed in the promises of God. And I knew then at that moment where Master Isaac drew his strength and his hope. It was in those words, "Do not be afraid. I am with you. I will bless you." It was in him who spoke those words. And when God is with us, isn't life better? Doesn't it bring courage in your heart to know that you are not alone? I learned that day that God affirms his promises to be with us and to bless us so that we may continue to respond to him in faith. At that time, King Abimelech came with his personal advisor and the commander of his forces to meet with Master Isaac down at Beersheba. And I was there when they had their meeting. I saw how Master Isaac confronted King Abimelech and told him, "Why have you come to me since you were hostile to me and sent me away?" And that shrewd man told Master Isaac, "I saw clearly that the Lord was with you. So we figured there should be an oath between the two of us, that you would treat us kindly, just as we treated you with kindness and sent you away in peace." That's what King Abimelech said. And if you have been listening closely to my story, they haven't been treating us kindly at all. But if I or Master Isaac needed any other proof that God was with us, it was this. He had been with us all this time, not only in allowing us to find wells wherever we went in the desert, but also in working in the hearts of our enemies, so that even King Abimelech could not deny that the Lord's hand was with us. And I realized God's blessing brings us peace in our relationship with others and in our circumstances. That very day, Master Isaac held a feast and prepared the feast and ate with King Abimelech and his men. And the next morning, they got up and swore an oath to each other. As the Philistines were leaving, I was watching them. You know, I realized for the first time in a long time that I was breathing easily. I felt as if a huge burden has been lifted off my back. This was relief. This was rest. Later, some of the other servants came to see Master Isaac and told him about the well that they had found. And Master Isaac called that well Shabbat. He was giving that well the same name that his father Abraham had given the name of this town when we were in, the Ersheba. For in our language, the Ersheba means well of oath. My mother told me that Master Abraham gave the town that name as a sign, as a witness to the oath that was made between him and the first king of Abimelech. But I was witness to how the heir of King Abimelech and his people did not treat kindly the heir of Master Abraham and tried to drive him away. So whenever I think of the Ersheba, I don't think of King Abimelech. I don't think of the flimsy promises of men. Instead, I think and I remember of the greater oath made by a greater and more trustworthy person. I remember the promises of God. The Ersheba will forever be a reminder to me and my people that God never fails to fulfill His promises. I know that all of us want to experience God's blessing, even as we follow Him in our calling, without having to worry about resources, finances, or unfriendly people. My calling is to be a servant. Perhaps you know what that feels like. It's not always easy. Not all my co-workers are lovable. I've got a lot of worries in my mind, such as my mother getting sick and I have to take care of her, but at the same time do so many other responsibilities. Sometimes my masters get cross with me. And those Philistines, some of them still treat us very badly, even though we have done no wrong. But in those moments when I am tempted to feel bitter, in those moments when I am tempted to give up and to just run, when I lose my passion and I lose my inspiration and I lose my hope, I remember the story of Master Isaac. In times when I am discouraged and disappointed with life, I remember the story of Master Isaac and I remember these words. Troubled days and troublemakers will pass, but God's promises will last. Troubled days and troublemakers will pass, but God's promises will last. And because of that, I feel confident that the Lord is with me. And since He is with me, I don't have to compromise, to cheat, or to lie my way to get ahead. I don't have to feel crippled. I don't have to think that I can't do any more than this, that this is as much as I could do. I don't have to lose hope or give up. Yes, I struggle through. Sometimes I still make mistakes. Many times, actually, I still make mistakes. Many times, I still try to do it my own way. But you know what I will never stop doing? I will never stop trying. I will never stop trying because God never ceases to be faithful. How about you? Will you receive the promises of God by faith? My friends, please pray with me. Adonai Elohim, we praise you. We believe in your promises. And we know that you are able to do everything that you say you will. Our God, in times when we are sad, in times when we are worried, in times when we feel as if the world is against us and there's nothing we can do, help us to be reminded that you are faithful, that you are with us, and that we never have to face the trials of life alone. Father, help us to be faithful, just as you are faithful, so that we might bring your blessing to the world. Amen.
Yes.